So, some people have said in my previous video, comparing the MacBook Air to the 64 gig iPad, that the iPad in a lot of ways was more versatile, more flexible. And I also went ahead and pulled up an article, just the usual question of when tablets would replace laptops or if. Now, a lot of you are thinking that the iPad is a media consumption device, and this is true. But let's just say, for sake of argument, that tablets eventually would replace laptops. In regards to the iPad, what would I like to see in the next version that would essentially help it to replace a laptop? Now, all of these are software related because in order to get the only hardware feature I want, I would essentially be able to get it through a dongle that would be essentially a 30-pin to USB converter, which would essentially allow access to thumb drives. And the thumb drives are a reason to have the following, the next feature, which begins my list of software enhancements. First of all, is a native file system. And the reason is because right now there is none. There are some productivity apps, but a lot of them require you to utilize a cloud service such as Dropbox, which is something I'm not necessarily ready to do full time. I've done it in the past, but I have not used my Dropbox in a long time. I prefer to store everything locally, say on a memory drive, a thumb drive. Second is, and this has to do with the multitasking aspect of it. Right now in iOS 5, if you pause a FaceTime call, the whole business will essentially pause out, including the microphone. Or at least that's what happened to a friend of mine the other day. And what would be nice is, instead of doing that, now this would have to be an iPad exclusive because with the iPhone and iPod Touch, I don't see the screen being big enough to do this. You get the ability in the multitasking app switcher to not only go all the way back to adjust your volume and contrast, but if you go back one more time, it will show you a miniature representation of your call and give you controls for managing said call, and even an option, say, to have it, let's say if it's in landscape mode, we could have it over here in the very bottom corner of your screen. And that way you could keep the FaceTime call going still in full force, including video, while you're trying to go to a website that your friend's telling you about. Another thing in terms of social interaction between others is the ability to replicate iChat's screen sharing feature. In fact, replicate iChat, period. I'd love to see an iChat for iOS natively from Apple. I think that would be really, really cool if they did that. And finally, there's one last thing, and that has to do with YouTube. The story with YouTube is a lot of times I will listen in on essentially what will be a video panel discussion, and rather than take a look at the people for a good 20-30 minutes, I'd rather just go and check my email. Well, as it stands, if I go to do that on the iPad, it will pause the video. What will be nice is the ability to do the same thing with the YouTube video that I did with FaceTime. It could be an option, you could turn it on or off, but to have it minimized, say in the corner, or being migrated to the app switcher, but have the video still in operation. And I think that if we were to get those things, that I think that the iPad could pretty much replace a laptop. And again, let's go over those. Really the only hardware feature, like I said, would be a 30-pin to USB dongle for things like card readers and thumb drives and whatnot. which would lead into the software features, beginning with a native file system with drag and drop capabilities. The YouTube video miniaturization while you're doing something else, and also the FaceTime miniaturization while you're doing something else. And again, these are primarily software features. My idea is that you would have an on and off switch so that if you wanted to activate them, you could. But the processor, I think, is more than capable of handling this. It's just a matter of building it into the software. Oh, an iChat. I forgot. And yes, an iChat with their screen sharing feature. Just basically a native version of iChat from Apple for the iPad. I think that would be really, really nice if they went ahead and put that in. So, what do you guys think? And yes, again, let's recap. I know that the iPad is primarily a media consumption device and that Apple has positioned it as such. But given consumer demand, well, the Mac sales have risen. PC sales have fallen in favor of tablet sales. That's interesting. Anyway, the market will dictate where we're going, but let's just say in theory, and just for sake of argument, that the tablet was going to replace a laptop. That's basically what I think would need to happen in order to make that happen. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.